Now, you think back some of the things that we've seen. We've seen the nation of Israel go through 2 civil wars already. And, you think about America. How many of you watched the election unfold these recent days? How many of you are tired of hearing about the election in the news? It's going to go on for a bit. We've got this continuing election cycle going forward with Georgia and so forth. But as that goes forward, I think everybody's feeling a level of tension in America. In fact, everyone, all media outlets are talking about the division in America. And here's the thing, if you just study history, it's true. Skeptics of history say, well, the people who always win write the history, history is really slanted. Just know that when you read biblical history, the Holy Spirit records it accurately. That's number one. Number two, he tells us the backdrop. He tells us what's happening, the inside story. Why? Because the Holy Spirit's in all of the secret chambers and all of the secret rooms that are taking place. And so it's not just, the evaluation of a commentator on the outside. It's God giving us a commentary from the inside and revealing things that we would not know. I was reflecting on that because the passages that we're describing are letting us see the heart of the king. They're letting us see the difference between King Saul and King David. And we're seeing the spiritual dynamics that are going on in the background. You think about America and division. Well, just keep in mind there's a spiritual dynamic that no one is understanding except people like you. Beloved, you are important in this generation because as you read through the Old Testament, you're going to understand that there's spiritual dynamics happening in this situation just as they happened in the days of Saul, just like they happened in the days of the judges, just like they happened in the days of the kings. Why? Because Satan is a roaring lion seeking whom he may devour. And the solutions that the world has, they're missing some of the key points. Tony Perkins oversees Family Research Group. Great guy. I don't know him personally, but this week I was sent this video clip by one of you. And I was taken back because it sounds like something you've probably heard me say about the spiritual background. I want you to hear what he says. Don't lose him in the sense because he's just talking about the exterior, like this is just political, and he's going to move. It's not. These things in America are not political. There's a deeper root. It's spiritual, and it ties to our text. Watch this.
That the United States is a deeply divided nation. We've been talking about this. The red states are getting redder, and the blue states bluer. Now, I've actually been pointing this out, this same trend in Congress over the last 10 years. After all, Congress, especially the House, is a reflection of the country. Despite what we may want, despite what we may want, there is not much in the way of consensus in America any longer. Now, that doesn't sound good, but it's just the reality. Now, obviously, for most of us who want to get along with others and just live our lives, this presents a problem. Now, this division is not just political. It is ideological. We're seeing that in our classrooms. But at its core, it's also spiritual. It comes with 2 very different worldviews, which result in public policies that are polar opposites. There was a time when there were just marginal differences between the 2 major parties when it came to policies, but those days are gone. Again, I know you may not want to hear this, but it is the reality of where we are as a culture and as a nation. Each election is about which worldview that will have the ability to make the laws and policies that govern our families and influence our children. And so we cannot afford to step back and not be involved or be discouraged and throw in the towel.
Wow, 2 worldviews. That's what elections are about today in America. And you could say, well, that's crazy, but just keep in mind what Jesus said. Any kingdom, any nation, any country divided against itself is laid waste. Any city or home, that's your family, my family, divided against itself will not stand. There's consequences for division. And who is the father of division? Satan is. And so, you reading the Bible are able to see things and analyze things at a completely different level. Today, when we look at David is going to be contrasted with Saul. Saul did not have the victories that he should have had because God wasn't with him, because he didn't have a heart for God. David's going to be said, he's going to be a man who leads a nation in justice. Well, Saul didn't lead in justice. David is going to be a man who leads with loving kindness. Why? Because he's a man after God's own heart. And Saul doesn't.